up, and welcome back to the RFN podcast. That is right. You are listening to the RFN podcast with me, your host, Kevin Lackey. And today I have a guest that is an absolute beast. This dude is a beast. He is a serial entrepreneur that is absolutely dominating the real estate game, development all over Fort Worth, transforming Fort Worth, Texas. But, you know, so much beyond that. He's involved in so many entrepreneurial ventures that we will get into and talk about today. But first, how about a proper introduction for welcoming my incredible friend, my homeboy,
my man,
Chris Powers, to the RFN podcast. What is up, dude?
Not a lot. I've been pumped to be here with you today.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you are.
I mean, there's nobody that puts me in a better mood than you, so I'm looking forward to this riff, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I that means a lot to me, dude.
You're contagious.
Thank you.
Yep.
You are as well, and you know that, but I'm just going to tell you know that. I mean, my wife, not too long ago, she heard the podcast you did with me,
yeah,
or had me as a guest, and she's like, "Man, I just didn't know you and Chris were so close." I'm like, it's just a different time of closeness, man. Yep. We don't see each other every day and talk, but
when we do, it's powerful.
It's real. Yep. And so thank you. You know, I love you, and I'm so glad to have you here. There's a ton of reasons why I wanted to have you obviously on this podcast. So first is that you have so much to give.
Yep.
You have incredible experiences, and it's even hard to measure what you can bring to the listeners. That's the first reason.
Yep.
The second reason is if it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be doing this podcast.
My man.
Yeah, RFN Nation, just so you know, I'm a motivated dude who dreams a lot and everything like that, and I'm inspired by people, and usually they're like these huge, big personality, just like, man, like I want to go there, and Chris Powers is one of those people. He has a big, huge personality, but in a different way.
Yep.
And, dude, you, like, pulled me forward into doing things that I wanted to do because you go for them.
Yeah. Well, shit, life's short, dude.
Life is short.
Yeah.
And how old are you, dude?
I'm 32.
30. You still want to be 29.
I know.
I've been lying on this.
Ah.
Yeah, I lie on every podcast. I've said I'm 35. Like I don't want to get old.
No, I'm 32, and I started my podcast because people in the world needed to hear messages like yours. You were the second person on my podcast. And I just fucking love doing it. I mean, dude, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And here we are in this age where for $2,500 you can talk to the whole world now.
Dude, I had an episode that I've recorded that I talked about that. There's no time in our world for $2,500 you can literally put out a message and connect with anyone who wants to listen.
Yep.
Used to, just 20 years ago, you had to have a studio. 10 years ago,
yep,
you had to have an entire studio, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment. We're just sitting here chilling in my office, $2,500 worth of equipment, and we can put a message together that anybody in the world can get to.
Anybody, they can be inspired. And I always said if nobody listened to my podcast, just like your little baby Leighton or
yep,
my little baby Palmer, in 15 years they can go pull up an episode of what Daddy was interested in when he was in his 30s or 40s.
It's a historical file for your life.
Yep.
Yeah, I said in one of my podcasts or in my intro podcast that if no one listens to my podcast, it's not that like that's going to be awesome. I hope people do listen, but if they don't, every message that I bring is going to pull me forward.
Yep.
And so if it only makes me better because I'm talking about things I'm passionate about, I'm not a poser, so I'm not going to talk about things in episodes and like talk about stuff and not be doing them.
Yep.
It's almost like a self-check, like an accountability, like to sit here and be like, oh, dude, you need to do these things if you want to get what you want, if you're going to get your dreams and your goals, and then to not do them yourself.
For sure.
So I'm like, dude, if no one listens, then it is what it is. So having you here means a lot, and I'm excited. So let's jump in. So first, why don't you just tell us about, a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then I want to talk about, how you got started, your background. I want to talk about Fort Capital. Your story is amazing. It's not, I don't think what people would, people always make these they perceive things or have perceptions about people and where they came from and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you and I had the chance a couple months ago to sit down one night, hotel room, two dudes in a hotel.
Yep.
Weird, but not weird. After some drinks, we just went back to talk about life and what's going on. And I got to hear a lot about your full journey.
Yeah.
And it just made me like appreciate and respect you that much more.
Yep.
And so I want to kind of just talk about that. And you know, we can touch on your podcast and why you're doing it, but you know, Fort Capital is this amazing brand and business, and I just want to, you know, kind of start there.
For sure. No, that is where do I begin? So I'm from El Paso, Texas. I'm from the very far west of Texas, and since I was born, I've been passionate about life. And my journey was a little bit different in that when a huge story and a huge thing that changed my life that I never knew at the time. But when I was 7, my dad had been a lawyer for 13 years.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of cruising through life. We were in El Paso, Texas, and you know, we weren't the richest people in the world and we weren't the poorest people in the world. And when he was 7, when I was 7 and he was 39 years old, he came into the house one night and he told my mom, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I want to be a doctor.
Overachiever.
Over fucking achiever. So 9 years later, so we leave El Paso, we moved to Lubbock, and for 4 years we're in medical school. And I don't know about anybody else, but when you're in school, you're making $0. You're just spending money.
So your dad went from a lawyer making money
to nothing.
And
then 5 years after that, he goes through residency, and you're making pretty much minimum wage for 5 years. So there was a 9-year stretch in the middle of my life where I never thought of us as poor because that's just not how we were as a family. But looking back on my life, there was a lot of sacrifice being made in those years.
Yep.
And it's not until usually later in life that you really look back and you see all these lessons. I didn't realize I was learning all this shit as I was going.
yeah.
But it did teach me kind of what I call, and I'm not going to say we were broke, but the power of broke.
Yeah.
There is a powerful thing in life when you don't have much that really all you have to do is look up.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to people that never get that feeling because you can't buy that feeling. You can't, they don't sell it on the internet. You either have it or you don't. And it's not a coincidence if you look at the Forbes 500 or the richest people in the world, and money isn't a measurement of success, but it's usually an indicator that they've done something great or they've built something, that they didn't go to college, they grew up, you know, on a nickel a week. I mean, the story after story after story, and the common theme is kind of that power broke. Well, again, we weren't broke, and but things were very tight, and I can just remember at a really early age having these feelings of my life is in my hands, and nothing is going to be given to me, and whatever I want in life, I got to go get it because it isn't going to be given. And that, as a teenager, you know, again, I played golf. If I wanted a golf club, I had to wash my dad's car 20 times. I'd get $10 each time. That $200, I could go buy a golf club. If I wanted this, I would have to do this. And I got a scholarship, came to TCU, and immediately was surrounded by unbelievably wealthy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my foray into the real estate world and business, a little bit trivial. I was trying to make money to go to spring break and party. I was still a normal kid, but that wasn't going to be my life if I didn't find a way to do it in college. And so jumping ahead, got to Fort Worth, and my freshman year of school, I met a guy that taught me how to buy houses. Now, I was 17 years old. This was 2004. This was pre-real estate crash. And anybody could get a loan, hence probably why 2008 happened.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that market didn't affect a growing TCU school here in Fort Worth, Texas.
We were pretty isolated.
We were very isolated.
Yeah.
I think Texas is the best of the best. And so if anybody's at the glue factory, we're still the best looking horse at the glue factory.
No question about that.
So fast forward over the last 15 years, I bought a house when I was 17 years old. And my business career has it's what I love to do. I don't think about it as work. We have seen a lot of success, And we'll talk a lot of today, I'm sure,
Yeah.
about why that success has come. But fast forward today, Fort Capital's a 25-person company. We'll probably be a 50-person company in the next 2 years. We have just under $300 million of assets under management. We're very focused on our people, the city of Fort Worth, Texas. We also invest in private equity into businesses. And my whole love of life is the entrepreneurial journey, the grind, the hustle, eating shit sandwiches every day, which we can chat about.
Yeah.
But what brought us close and through YPO and other things, I think where I'm at, even at 32, is thinking, how does all this play into being a great father, a good husband, a good follower of Christ, and wrapping that in, because I love what I do so much that if you don't tell me to stop,
you'll ignore the other things.
Yeah. So that's the journey we've been on together, where we talk a lot about everything. But I'm very fortunate. I love what I do. I want to do it till the day I die. And I'm very fortunate that I grew up with that power of broke.
So I want to talk about that specifically. I have a list of different questions that'll get us into different conversations. But just that power broke. So recently in January or February, something like that, I was at this 10X Growth Conference, 35,000 people, all there on Super Bowl weekend because they don't care about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were there to be motivated and inspired and grow.
Yep.
And just exactly to your point of the Forbes list or when you look at these very successful people measured by whatever financial, but what they've contributed and done in their lifetime, when you go look at their stories, they're all unique to their own version of their own story, but a lot of them come from broke, some version of that. And the same thing, all these speakers, Steve Harvey, Damon Johns, Sarah Blakely, the things about like a Sarah Blakely who I never would have known for 10 years. She was a door-to-door fax machine sales girl.
Yeah.
I would have never known that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she's just this lady who's billionaire, done this crazy deal with her company Spanx. But so I was sitting there and just all the different stories, and I wrote in my journal about, I'm so grateful that I have come from broke.
Yep.
Some of that was self-inflicted. Some of that was circumstances. And I'm grateful for it because what you said, which I've never thought of that this way, but I had something to look up to and look to, because I knew where I was is not where I wanted to be. And my COO and I were flying back from this conference, and we were sitting next to each other, and I was telling him what I had wrote down, and I was really kind of looking around at my team and saying, who else came from broke? Like, why do or don't they have this same level of hustle? Is it something that is instilled in them, or is it something that they were missing, they're trying to prove? And my COO said, as he was sitting there in that conference thinking about a common factor between all these people, he on his own also picked up on that. They all came from some brokenness, and he doesn't really. And it's like that's not a bad thing that man, I hope your life is so fucked up, that's going to make you better in life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's something powerful about it. And so he was trying to say, I come from this, moderately good home, not rich parents, not poor parents. I wasn't beaten, I wasn't abused. I was an okay student. My life has been pretty good. And he said, so I'm searching for, other than the fact that I just want to be successful, because, the shiny things of what people start off wanting when they're young, the cars, the shit. As he's matured, he realizes that's not enough to pull him forward.
Nah.
And so he's like, well, if I'm not broke and I'm not really looking towards, looking up for something, where is it going to come from to get to where I truly want to be? And I think he's on that journey to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. Yeah. I'm grateful for looking around, sleeping in a friend's apartment with 5 other people with nothing.
Yep.
In almost filth. I remember that.
Yep.
And thinking, I'm not going to do this.
I don't want to go back there.
I'm not going back there, and this is not where I belong. So anyway, it's just, I think that's a powerful part of your story, and I appreciate you sharing that.
For me, that same kind of looking in the past, my little trigger is every time I pass by a Rosa's Cafe, it reminds me where we were. Because when we were in medical school, we got to go once a month out to eat.
Yeah.
We would go to Rosa's, and it was a big fucking deal.
In Lubbock?
Yep.
Yep.
And I also think now about, now that I'm not in that situation, and I say that the power broke, you don't ask for it. It's a gift that's given to you. You might not realize it's a gift when you're in it.
Yeah.
But again, you can't buy it. And if you've grown up and you're not broke, you can't go back and unwind. And we are who we are by the time we're 3 years old, a lot of people say, or 7 years old. So it's a gift that I've been given, and I've learned that it is what drives me, and it'll never go away, because once you've been there, you don't ever want to go back.
So I was going to wait and get through some general questions before I went to like a little bit more deep place.
But we're always in the deep end, bro.
We always are in the deep end, and so I'm going to go deep right now.
Let's do it.
Because as you're telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, now this is me, but I feel like other people, and I know that you do just because I know you well. You've never even spoke it. But because we know that feeling, okay, of Roses. And today you could go take 100 people to Roses for lunch today. And tomorrow, and the next day. You may be wasteful. I mean, it may be wasteful and sound stupid, but you could do that.
I could.
And I am so grateful for all these things, but this gift of brokenness and this reminder when you drive by Roses in Lubbock that reminds you of where you come from, does it also wear on your heart? Like I sometimes wonder, why am I so fortunate? And it almost bothers me. And it's not a guilt, but it's just almost like it's hard to understand.
You know the guilt I feel?
What?
That my daughter won't get to experience it.
Yeah.
I wear that every day. And I think, how the hell am I going to even remotely get close to that? Because selfishly, I don't want to be there again.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Not.
What is she going to not get? Because
correct.
Yeah.
And so, and I've read books, I've talked to people, and I don't want to make this a political discussion at all, but you might hate Donald Trump. There's one thing about Donald Trump that when I take all the noise away, there's one thing that I can always lean on him for. Look at his 3 kids. They grew up in a billionaire family in a gold condo, and he has 3 kids that work 100 hours a week, fucking putting it out there. I'm not saying what they're doing is great or what, blah, blah. I'm just saying not very often do you see that hard of work coming out of that wealth. Yeah. Because what's driving you? What's driving it? And it gets back to who you are as a parent and how you've been. Now, we can end that discussion there, but I then take that back to myself is, what can I do to give that fire into my daughter's belly? It might not be to start a business. It could be to be a great athlete or to run the biggest number, whatever it is, but at least giving her fire. Yeah.
So that begs the question of a couple things. Is one, are people born with some sort of fire and instinct, and then surrounded by enough of the people, like with education and being around a bunch of other killers who get a great education and are exposed to a dad who's an entrepreneur, and she goes to dad's office. Can she get that, or is a part of her natural DNA, culture index, whatever, just that she's like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no. And
it's interesting to try to figure that out as a parent.
I've been thinking a ton about it, even since Culture Index. By the time you're 2.5 years old, that 90% of who you are has been molded. 50% of it's nature, 50% of it's nurture. And they say if your kid's a screw up, you shouldn't take as much of the blame, and if they conquer the world, you shouldn't take as much of the credit. But at the same time, I do believe that my actions, my wife's actions, what we do at home, how we travel, anything like that is going to have an impact.
Oh, yeah.
It's on my mind nonetheless. I'm not going to say I'm going to be perfect at it. At least I recognize it.
Yeah, no, I think it's important just to recognize it. Yeah,
which is important in life, in anything. Just recognizing where you are, your surroundings, what
self-aware.
Yep.
Yeah, self-awareness. We talked about this earlier. I was talking about with someone just that. It's just such an important thing to always be self-aware, and it's something that not all people do, or or have that skill set. And to me, it's one of the most important skill sets that a leader can have.
Yep.
So moving past that, because it wasn't as deep as I was thinking, but just for me, I'll just real quick, for an experience for me is when I think about those things,
Yep.
those broken past or little things that are reminders, they do something to me emotionally, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's like it is the guilt and the concern of my kids growing up and being exposed to something different. How do you find that balance of, what we just discussed? But it's also it's so humbling.
Yep.
And I wonder what's screwed up in the people's head that are able to pull themselves out of broke and never reflect back. Like, they forget where they came from.
Yep.
Like, to me, that's the screwed up side of things. But also not letting that brokenness plague you going forward.
Yep.
I mean, I know of people, I've read of people, heard of people who have literally hurt themselves or given it all up because they couldn't handle the gap between where they come from and where they got to.
Yep.
I mean, have you seen that?
I
Hear
it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to how you're wired, nurture, and nature. Like, how do you see the world?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that are broke that will be broke forever
And
because they'll be broken happy, or they'll be broken sad because they're always looking at yesterday going, why me, why this, why that, as opposed to someone that's using it as fuel to go change the world. And you and I are going to change the world, and that's how we've always talked about things. The other part of it, how I feel about my daughter and my future daughter, is this idea that, so I'm in the development world, and so at any given point on a job site, you have the developer, the banker, the architect, the engineers, the blah, 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 and then you get to the guys that are on the roof in the 100-degree sun.
Making shit happen.
And I have said this since I got into construction. Guess who the people are that are always laughing underneath the tree eating lunch?
Yeah.
It's those people.
Yeah.
And guess who they're pissed. This plan didn't go right. I didn't make enough money on this building. Guess who's usually the least happy walking the site?
Yeah.
Someone in my shoes.
Yep.
And I think about that every time I get on. I go, who are the happiest fucking people on this job site? And it is never the people in the suit. It is always the people. And so it's all perspective. Having money or wealth is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And being broke is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
What's a bad thing is not knowing what the priorities are and what's making you happy and what's driving you. And so it's just this thing I think about all the time. I bet you could see it in your warehouses or whomever. They're always the happiest people.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that.
There really is, dude. There's a guy that works at our store, one of our stores, and I'm not going to mention the store and all that stuff, but I can tell you, I found out recently that he was living in his car.
Yep.
A car that we bought him.
Yep.
Because his attitude is so fucking good.
Yep.
And he's so happy.
Yep.
I'm like, in his circumstances, and I'm like, my stupid ass first world problems, like thinking about, like, I have real problems just like you every day getting punched in the face. It's real. They're real.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that dude is such a great attitude and happy, and I think it's all sincere.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that he wouldn't want a few $100 extra or nice a place to live. But I think that people put different levels of pressure on themselves.
Yep.
Which is funny, dude.
It's all self-inflicted.
It's all self-inflicted.
I think about it as like this happiness onion. And when all your job every day is to get to work and then get back to your car to sleep, there's not a whole lot of shit in your life that could technically go wrong. Now, you could always say, I don't have this and I don't have that, but that's just, again, your mind creating problems that don't exist. But when you're wealthy and your plane's breaking down and your fourth home has a leak in it and your kids at private school are in detention and they're little shithead and blah, 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 you wake up every day with a million things that you have to solve or fucking hire someone to do. And so you can't get to happiness very quickly. And if you get there, it's momentarily because then, your third plane just broke again.
Yeah.
And so I always think about it as like, how quickly can you get to happiness and what's blocking you from getting there? And it tends to be that people with a lot of money fill their life up with tons of shit.
Yeah.
And so there's just always something that could be going wrong. And not that a plane breaking down's the end of the world, but it consumes your mind for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Whereas that dude is like, I just got out of my car. I'm getting to work.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have this job.
Simplicity.
And I'm fucking going to be happy.
Yeah, simplicity.
Good for him.
So I'm going to jump straight to the bottom of my questions. I was going to get to my man, we're going to get to some deep shit.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, what do you love most about Fort Capital, which I want to get to these. But
yeah.
I wrote down this question, and because we're kind of already there.
Yeah.
How full are you? And let me explain my question.
Okay.
This goes a little bit more personal and deep than what was supposed to be the other questions before this.
Yeah.
You have this amazing business. You have this beautiful family. You have Fort Capital, which is this incredible brand. You have people that love you and admire you in your business, your family, your friends, your YPO, friends, your Fort Capital is something that people fucking are proud of to be a part of.
Yep.
Okay? I mean, these are like all great things that most people on earth, like 99% of the rest of the population, don't ever know and get to experience. I personally, I'm fortunate enough to share a lot of those things because we're in close proximity to each other in where our lives are in these great big businesses and stuff, which is why we're here together.
Right.
But a lot of people will never understand that and see that. And I know for me, if people just only knew, if people only knew. But I am more curious about Chris Powers and saying, how full are you?
Yeah, that's just it's an amazing question, and it's pretty much been the topic of my life the last 2 or 3 years. Because as you mature and, again, you get married and then you have a child and your business is growing and you get to see your first couple employees that are just happier than hell and they've been promoted 2 or 3 times. You're just seeing all these different things happen. And starting a business in general is kind of a selfish motive, like by nature. I'm going to start a business because I don't want to do any work for anybody else.
Yeah.
Or blah, blah. I mean, it's not a bad selfishness, but it's a selfishness.
Yeah.
And you kind of live this first part of your business career is like, you're not necessarily thinking it's all about me, but it is all about you.
Yep.
And then if you're successful, you start seeing people show up in your life and you get married and you have kids, and you can kind of go one of two ways. You can start looking at the world as it's about everybody but me, or I'm the reason that all these people are like in my life, and so I'm going to double down on myself.
Yeah.
I've chosen to take the former, which is I am now focused on how am I impacting the people around me. And it ties back to something that my dad always talked about. He said, when you leave, and we've done this in YPO too, and you are sitting at your 80th birthday party in a room full of your employees, your friends, your family, anybody that you impacted, and you're at your 80th birthday and you're looking out at this room and it's time for everybody to start giving a toast. What's everybody going to say?
Yeah.
And that to me, or it's at your funeral, what's everybody going to say?
Yeah.
Like, how did you leave the world? My biggest fear in life is having that be a dull moment.
Yeah.
So with that said, am I full? I'm unbelievably full. But are there days I feel empty as hell?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I'd said shit sandwiches a couple minutes ago. What you see in the media or on our website or on those are glimpses and moments, but you eat 99 shit sandwiches for that one glimpse of like that euphoric moment that you're chasing.
Yep.
And if that one euphoric moment has to do with money, that's fucked, because that's not going to work. It has to be for something deeper than something. And so it's so much work, but I love it so much. But man, there's like, I feel like a lot of times I'm doing stuff I don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
But when I look back, I'm so glad I'm doing it, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. I made a comment and someone sent it to me. They said, yeah, like, I love this. But I said, getting punched in the face as an entrepreneur is like getting paid twice.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're going to get through where you're at and you got punched in the face and you're going to learn from that shit.
Yep.
And that's like the second payment. Like, it doesn't come in monetary. It's just, it's the lessons that you learn along the way.
For sure.
But I'm glad to hear that you are full, but you're just living an entrepreneurial life. You know, when I think about that, there's days that I think, so to expand on that question is, when I was thinking about it, when I wrote the question, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, let me challenge you then real quick.
Cool.
So you said you have 30 employees or something like that,
Yeah.
be at 50 in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Why? Is it you want to find new motherfuckers that you can inspire?
Yeah.
You need to find a bunch of new people.
That's a good question.
You can't just inspire the 30 you have and pour into them. So when's too much? Like, you got 300 million of assets under management?
I'm not full, I guess.
Well,
You're right.
it's like, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Is full 3,000 employees? Is it $1 billion under assets under management? What's going to take that balance of life out away from your children? Like I guess when I'm thinking about this is like, I ask myself, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, why am I growing? I could probably make more money with less risk and selfishly have a lot of time if I shrunk my business in half. And you know this, we did the exercise.
Yep.
But I think about the people and the opportunity and the growth. It's less about me, some still about me, because then I think, oh, well, I can keep getting bigger and bigger. And is it ego? No, I don't really have an ego. You don't have an ego. You can give a shit less. It's not about an award or a fucking trophy. But there still has to be something wrong with me. I'm not saying there's something wrong with you, but I know there is. You're fucked up. Yeah, you're fucked up, dude, man.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's
Thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, thank God. It gives me something to work on tomorrow.
No kidding.
So it's like, so if I'm thinking like, why? Why 10 more dealerships? Why this much more revenue? Why this and that? Like, do you think that, yes, you're full. I know you love your wife, your beautiful wife, and your kids and your employees today. So why more?
Yeah, that is, and putting it in that perspective, you are absolutely right. And so what fills me up and what makes me full is what I do every day.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And you're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between.
Yep.
And we've talked about this a bunch. And I've been asked a lot of times, like, why are you working 100 hours a week? And why do you want to build this huge business? And not to sound good in front of the camera. And by the way, this is why podcasts are fucking awesome, because these are the messages you don't read in some glamorous article in Forbes. It's like,
these are the real
Uber
shit.
went public for 80 billion. Like, okay, let's talk about the 10 years of freaking grinding that happened to get there.
And that's like a unicorn that's like smaller than a grain of salt in a fucking whole entire restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, it's like, yeah, if there was ever an end in sight, Bill Gates would have stopped a long time ago. Steve Jobs would have stopped when he invented the first computer. I think if you are wired to be a entrepreneur, and I don't mean an entrepreneur is a business owner. I mean, it's just somebody that wants to fix shit and solve their own problems and move forward. And so I tell everybody at Ford every day, everybody in here is a damn entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's our culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to own the business, be number two in the business. In fact, the person that just got hired into the business should be the most entrepreneurial of us all.
Yep.
And because that's our culture and that's what we're looking for. And as we continue to deepen our culture and believe in it, the next guy should be more entrepreneurial, because that's what we're after. But it's a really good question. And I don't have an answer other than I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't growing. I don't know how to describe that, but I wouldn't be.
Yeah, so
I'd be fucking miserable.
So that's a great answer. And it's funny, as we're sitting here and I'm listening, as I was asking it, I think I answered the question for myself.
Yeah.
So I'll share that, which is, I have underestimated my potential for 20 years because of insecurities or whatever else.
Yep.
And at this point, I want to fucking realize my full potential.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I'm there.
Yep.
Like, it's like, oh, I have 14 stores. And I to look at myself in the mirror and say, yeah, dude, congratulations, you maxed out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I fucking have not maxed out.
Now there's 2,000 more stores in the country.
I've got more to give.
Yep.
And my world is not going to end in power sports.
Yep.
So it's like, it's not about the money. It's not about, well, today I can go fucking sit at the beach and I can have a cocktail, or I can go play golf, or I can do whatever I want, go pick up my kids all day. I don't want to do that shit.
Yep.
You know, maybe like once a year I want to do it for about 3 days. But I want to fucking unwind the best me.
Yep.
Over in my lifetime.
And you can use freedom as basically a way to make the world a better place.
To me, it's
not about the motorcycles.
Oh.
It isn't about, but I look at it as Fort is my conduit to making this world a better place. It's given me a platform. That platform's going to grow. And if it was about the money, I couldn't hire good people, because good people can sniff out a greedy bastard pretty quick.
Yeah.
That doesn't last forever. But when people are believing in what we're doing, and don't get me wrong, we are in it to make a profit and do well.
Yeah.
But every business should be in profit to do well, because that's what keeps people motivated, keeps people going, keeps a business alive. But it's that secret sauce of people believing in something deeper than that
Yep.
create the best businesses. And for me, Fort is my platform to help the world.
Yep. I think that's amazing. And there is nothing wrong with making a fuck ton of money. Like, I measure things in shit tons and fuck tons.
Yeah.
And I want to make a fuck ton of money. But what I've already learned in my short, and I'm not like uber wealthy, but I've done very, very well for myself.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, it's been a punch in the face that the reality is that everything everybody's told you your whole life, which is money doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Money's not a bad thing. I'd rather be miserable and rich than miserable and poor.
Yep.
But I just don't want to be miserable.
Yep.
I want to be happy.
Yep.
And it's like, so when things do expand beyond that, so
money buys you time.
yeah,
And time is one thing that we have nothing in this world. It's the one thing that no matter who you are on this planet, you don't get more of or less of, or when your time ends and somebody else is done. And we all want more of it.
Yep.
And and money can help you get more of it. And if you're using money in ways that are beneficial to society, to buying you more time, you will be fulfilled. If you think that having the third Ferrari in your garage just bought you 3 times more happiness, you're fucked.
it didn't buy you time.
It didn't buy you time.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Yeah, it's an item, or it's a whatever. It's something that you could touch. But dude, you're absolutely right. Like, I just literally, so in the last 48 hours, I was watching Joyce Meyer on this. She's a Christian, pastor. She's like this powerful, like in her 60s pastor. She's just really good. And she was talking about the one thing in life that every person has the exact same. Everybody has. It's 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
That's it.
And someone with $100 million in the bank
Doesn't get more hours.
They don't get more hours. And if they could give all that money to be 20 again, they would absolutely do it. But what you said, which was an expansion on what I've already been thinking since I've heard it, is that money can buy you time.
Yep.
Because it fucking can.
It can.
Gosh, dang it.
And I
need more money.
I need more money, and that's why. Look, I'll say it. There's 2 things I would spend money on that are just outrageous if I ever got there. One would be a plane, and it wouldn't have ostrich seats and a gold fucking toilet.
Yeah.
The plane is because I can get wherever I want, whenever I want, and I don't have to wait in line for 4 hours. And believe me, I do that now. I love it, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
But that is why I would want a plane, is purely to buy back time. And even if that means over the period of 20 years buying myself 5 weeks of my life back, well, that's a fucking 5 weeks.
Yeah, and if that's 5 weeks with your family, 5 weeks with a charity, 5 weeks with whatever.
So buying time is why money matters. Beyond that, you're heading to a really empty bowl that you'll never be able to fill.
Yeah, my buddy, I've got a good buddy of mine. He owns a bunch of like nursing homes and stuff all over Texas and some New Mexico, I think, wherever. Him and I were talking one night, and he's got a gang load of cool shit.
Yeah.
Which, he doesn't care. I don't care. But we were talking about his plane. He has a plane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was telling me about the expense, the upkeep, and blah blah blah, what it costs an hour to put it in the air, and I'm like, fuck, bro, that's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
And he said, he looked at me and he's a conservative guy.
Yeah.
He's not a big, he's not like a big, ego guy. And he looked me in the face. He said, "It's the sharpest tool in my toolbox, or sharpest tool in my shed." And then he just kind of talked about it. It's like, dude, I get to be home with my kids. I work my ass off, and I get to be home with my kids and put them to bed.
Yep.
And if I was waiting on, fucking Delta to show up or American Airlines to show up, and the planes broke or whatever else, or all the time, I said I can maximize my time. And this time efficiency of taking time and understanding the importance and the value of every minute and how you ruthlessly edit out bullshit from your life. Because if you don't have a plane, or like for me, I'm just like, okay, I want to fly first class.
Yep.
Why? It's not because I want to feel big at the front of the plane. I get to be on the plane first, getting my shit. If I want to work on something, I'm off the plane first. I want to park up close. It costs more money than parking in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yep.
But guess what? I'm in my car within 5 minutes of landing.
Yep.
I'm on my way home, or I'm on my way back to my office. And I think for a long time I've even filled I've wasted time not understanding the value of every minute. And sometimes time just you need rest. Sometimes that can be important, but how do you buy yourself the time to maximize your life and the time to rest when you need rest, or what, so on and so on?
Right now is the oldest you've ever been and the youngest you'll ever be.
Ah, fuck, I hate it.
And the minute that we just talked doesn't matter anymore, and the minute coming forward doesn't matter. What matters is right fucking now.
The Right Fucking Now podcast.
I fucking love it.
The Right Fucking Now podcast.
I knew that was what RFN was.
Did you not know?
I did.
You did, yeah. Dude, it's because that's where I want to live my life. I want everything right fucking now.
Yep.
And if it's unrealistic, great. Let's try to figure it out.
Yep.
If it's, I believe that it's like, dude, you got to have something to create the right levels of action, and the RFN has just worked. And then I got my Ram It deal, retreat, average or massive,
which got me out of bed this morning. I went to pull that cover back over that fucking head.
Did you say it to
yourself? My daughter slept in the middle of us last night, so I was up kind of all night. I was tired.
Yep.
And I said,
no.
I can either start retreating, or I can get down to my fucking Peloton bike and get this day started. And that's how my day got started.
I love that. I'm knuckling up, dude, because I'll tell you, dude, even though it's my deal and I preach it, and I don't know if people think I'm fucking super freak or some superhuman, and I just like do everything all the time and it's easy. It's just not the facts. I woke up this morning, and I actually set my alarm really early this morning at 4:40. It's exactly 20 minutes to the gym. They open at 5. All I need from the minute I wake up till the time I get in my truck is to brush my teeth, and then I'm headed to the gym. And this morning, dude, I just was like, 4:40, dude. Like I just asked myself, am I retreating or taking average or massive action? And I fucking put my shit on and I left. And my day, because of it, is like
way better.
It's energized. I feel on the top of my game, and I'm just excited about it. So that's RFN, man. So, okay, so let me go back down. I want to get back to a few other things that I have for you, just some questions that I think that will be helpful for our listeners, just informational. So did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? If not, when did that start for you? Like, were you young, or was it in college?
I did.
You always knew.
I always knew, and just even looking back, when I was 4 years old, what the teacher, my progress report doesn't do well with instruction.
Yeah.
Doesn't like authority.
Yeah.
And to this day, my profile, literally the first line says, if you put rules around Chris,
yeah,
you might as well be wrapping him up in barbed wire.
Yeah.
Because I don't like him.
Yeah.
Now, what I've also learned in looking at the world, going, why does everybody not see the world how I see it?
Yep.
If there was a bunch of Chris Powerses in this world, we'd all be killing each other.
Be a problem, yeah.
Everybody has their place, and that's what makes society go. And nobody's any better than the other.
Yeah.
But I had 2 internships. I knew really quick. I fucking hated them.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's really just never been an option. I mean,
yeah. So you've always known.
I've always known. I may not have said like I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but I've always known this is my personality. And once I realized that doesn't fit in anywhere but entrepreneurship, it was like game over.
Yeah, easy decision.
Yeah.
So what do you love most about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, man. Now, honestly, fucking helping people and seeing people achieve shit that they couldn't, that 2 years before or a month before they couldn't even fathom. That to me is most fulfilling. But the second and the selfish answer is it's the game, bro. Like it is so much fun. I love it. Like I can't describe it. Like you said, I love the pain. I love getting beat up because guess what? Fucking Tiger Woods eats shit all week so that he can win the Masters on Sunday. What everybody sees is the putt going in on 18, but they don't see the 30 years leading up to that putt going in on 18. And so I tell everybody at the office all the time, you're never going to feel like you crossed a finish line, but if you every year at the end of the year look back, it'll feel like you crossed 100 that year.
Yeah, and if not, there's probably something wrong with you.
You're not happy.
You're not if you're not growing and advancing and getting better. If you're not getting through certain things, like growing through situations, like that is success.
That is success.
Growing through hardships, and when you learn and look back, I mean, whatever fucking people think that they're just like not happy where they're at, but the next gig they're not gonna go eat shit, and life it's just this big kaboom is going to happen for them, and they've arrived. We talked about that on your podcast where it's like, oh, here I've arrived. That shit ain't real.
Nobody's ever arrived. There's no arrival. There's no magic fairy pot ending. The other part that I would be remiss without leaving this podcast saying, you are an average of the 5 people that you put yourself around. If you are miserable, look at the 5 people closest to you in your life and how are they impacting you. All you have to do is bring one person in your life and you can change it forever. And that can go both ways. You could be on rock. You could be in the best place on earth, and all of a sudden you start hanging out with a drug addict. And before you know it, you're on drugs, and now there's 2 drug addicts. And those 2 mentors that used to fill up your 5, they're gone, and they've been replaced with people that are close to you are not close to you by mistake. Maybe when you're a kid and you have a parent, you have no choice. But even if you are a kid with a parent, you can look around and go, I'm still an average of that. At least I can understand why I'm either good, bad, anything in between. But when you're an adult, if you're not happy, I'm not saying it's everybody's fault by any means. It's on you. But look around first, and you can change your life by changing a few people in it.
Yeah, and we talked about this on your podcast, which was if you have 5 shitty friends around you or people that are influencing you, and you can't replace those people immediately, you're just better off without them. Learn to be happy alone. And because you're not going to attract the people you need in your life if you have 5 shitty friends, because the right people are going to know that, and they're not going to want to be a part of it. It's like, oh, yeah, like I would really love to be a part of your circle, but, no.
And for anybody listening, don't think of it as like you have to call those 5 people and tell them, y'all are no longer in my 5. Treat your life like you're wandering, and you're wandering forward, and you're attracted to the things you like. Naturally, those 5 new people will come, and before you know it, those other 5 have gone off onto new things. If you're trying to quit drinking, but you can't quit drinking because all your friends drink, well, fucking, if you quit drinking and they all go away, they weren't your fucking friend anyway.
I was just about to say, if they give you shit, that is when you do say, you're no longer my friend.
Correct.
It's like,
starting this podcast, I was so nervous of what are people going to think, and I'm going to put myself out there, and I go, well, my best friends aren't going to make fun of me. My family isn't going to. My employees will support me. The Lord's pushing me to do this. What I realized, I was more nervous about the people I don't even give a fuck about than the ones I do. And I said, that was whether I started the podcast or anything else in my life was like, I'm doing what I need to get done. And if the 5 people closest to me don't approve of it, then they're going to have to go out.
I love that, dude. I have started with, since this growth conference I went to, because of your friendship and pulling me forward into this podcast and this book thing that I'm doing, I've learned over the last 6 months that social media is a platform that can be used for good, specific to business. And I'm like, what right does Kevin Lackey have to make a quote on social media? Like, people are just going to be like, what the fuck does he think he is?
Yeah.
He went to, this deal, and now he thinks he's special. It's like, well, no, this is something I've been thinking about and dreaming about and but I'm nervous. How are they going to judge me? And I've just gotten to the point where it's
Who gives a
I don't give a fuck. Because guess what? For every 5 that may judge me because they're close to me and they think I'm trying to be cooler than I am, there's fucking 500 that want and need and appreciate what I have to offer.
Yep, dude.
Yeah.
The people that are sitting there making fun of your quote, they have so many other issues that they're dealing with in their life.
They're jealous.
That's the sad. I feel more bad for the people that are upset about what I put on social media.
Yeah.
And the ones that are killing it probably aren't reading it fucking anyway. They're out killing it.
Yeah, exactly. So what then is the hardest part about being an entrepreneur?
CEO.
Yeah.
It's lonely at the top sometimes, man.
It is, dude.
When you love what you do, there's moments where the whole world feels like it's on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at the times when I feel like I'm at my weakest is when I feel like there's just nobody else that truly gets where I'm at.
Yeah.
There's nobody I can go talk to in the company that has had this role.
Yeah.
You start looking at like we're a young company by nature. We have moms having new babies. 2 of our employees just got new cars. That was the best day for me.
Yeah.
They were so pumped. They had gotten raises and a bonus and had gone out and done this stuff. And that is what puts me on a high. But then there's those moments, and my business partner, Jason, God gave me Jason. I will say that for the rest of my life. And he truly, he can get in the same bucket with me, but even at times it's just him and I, it can get lonely. And I don't know how to describe that other than it can get lonely.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I understand. I am interviewing you as, a guest on this podcast, but in that place I can understand. I heard someone, I don't know if it was a rap song or if it was a fucking interview, but someone said, man, it ain't lonely at the top. Shit, I got all sorts of people. And so I try to think of that as like, yeah, man, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, honestly, it's lonely.
Yeah.
I mean, I had that award deal the other night, last Thursday, and it's pretty sad for me because I wanted to take my kids. I took my kids.
Yeah.
But you can buy a table for 10 people.
Yeah.
One of the people up for an award called us and said, hey, we don't really want a table for 10. We just want like 5. Do you want to split a table? We're like, yeah, that was the first year we ever did that. So then I only had to fill 5 of the 10. And it just got to the point where, like, in my mind, and I know this is a lot of it is me. I could have invited 100 people that would have been happy to go, but I was just thinking, like, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to make people who work for us feel like they have to go and take away from their time. And I don't know. It's just kind of a lonely feeling. There's days I'll be at work like late, and I'm just thinking like.
I think you just nailed it though, and it's something that when I feel my loneliness is when I'm focused on me.
Yeah.
And when I redirect my attention to what makes me happy, which is the people around me.
Yeah. You're not lonely
You're
at
not
all.
lonely.
Yeah.
And I'm with you 100%. I don't want to invite a bunch of people to come watch me get an award.
I didn't even want to fucking go.
Or you look at it as I am just a symbol for what freedom is.
Yeah.
You are not freedom.
Yep.
You are one small piece of freedom.
Absolutely.
And no matter how much our egos can tell us at times we are it all.
Yeah.
Bull fucking shit.
Yeah. Get hit by a bus tomorrow, this fucker ain't going away.
Fort Capital isn't doing a damn thing we're doing today if I'm the only person walking into the office every day.
Yeah. You've earned yourself the right to be here,
Yeah.
so Fort can be over there running.
Correct.
And Fort is a part of who you are, just like freedom is for me.
My job is to go out and bring goodness back to the company
Yeah.
so that everybody can work on it,
Make it happen.
feel fulfilled, grow, whatever that may be.
So that leads me into my next question is, what do you love most about Fort? And I'm going to force an exclusion here. Yeah, I'm going to force to exclude that because you've said it where I know that is, but I want you to think something different. And I'm not going to challenge you on this podcast. I like to just fucking like, hey, let's get real. I know it is about the people and seeing them grow. And I know that you mean that sincerely, because I mean it. And eliminate that part of it.
Okay.
And just say, what do you love most about Fort, other than the celebrations of, one of your guys getting a new vehicle or a raise and all that stuff?
One of the coolest things about being in real estate is everybody can see it, feel it, touch it, love it, whatever. They can hate it too.
Yeah.
You go drive by an ugly building, it'll put you in a bad mood.
Yeah.
You go drive by a cool building, it'll put you in a good mood.
Yeah.
It is something that you can see and touch and feel. And without going too much into where I believe real estate's headed over the next decade and where we're putting our chips and where our bets are, it's the largest asset class in the world. It has an ability to have true human emotion. It brings people together. It tears people apart. People love standing around a building that's getting torn down for some reason, and they love watching it go up. And I'm just starting to learn that. And so Fort's been developing, we're now throughout Texas, but we've had a big focus on Fort Worth for a long time, and we're redeveloping this area of the city. And I feel like we're building this little city. I mean, it's really what it's turned into. We have, we've built 1,200 apartments, or we have 900 coming, and you're starting to see thousands of people. Heim Barbecue just opened up. I had lunch there today, and you see families there and kids running around, and all the police officers are at one table, and you're just kind of taking it all in. And just real estate is people, and people are real estate. So there's been times in my life where I'm like, God damn, there's so much more I could be doing, or I could get out of real estate and do this. And going back to just kind of being grateful and where I'm at, I think leading with real estate opens more doors than not leading with real estate.
Okay, yeah.
And so if you had asked me, if we had done this a year ago, this probably wouldn't have been my answer.
Okay.
But I am fully starting to learn how big of an impact real estate not just has on making money and making returns for investors, because that's what we have to do to be in business. But dude, it impacts people huge. So you can kind of tie it back to that, but I'm just very proud to be in real estate.
Dude, I can see it. And anybody listening to this through the audio version is not going to see Chris, his body language and emotion. But I could see that for the first time, probably ever talking about it, where you're just like, you are making a difference.
Huge
to
difference.
Our world.
Yep.
And the emotion side of things, it's so funny and interesting, people watching it go up, getting it ripped down. And another thing, I'll share with you an experience I had yesterday or the night before that you'll think is interesting and exactly to your point about just how powerful what you're doing is, like what developers and buildings and how it does play a role in people, makes them happy or whatever, how they feel. So I went to Austin night before last, got a quick call, said, I need you to come down here to the Capitol. We have I need you to testify on this bill that's being passed or being put in front of the House. And I said, cool, I'm on my way down there. Normally I stay at the Omni. It's just easy and nice and walkable to the state Capitol. But they didn't have any rooms, so my assistant said, hey, I got you this place at Hotel Indigo. I said, okay, cool. Sounds like a fucking cool hippie little place in there, Indigo. There's going to be like a weed gummy right by my bedside. I'm like, this is perfect. So I pull up, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I am right in the middle of Austin. This is cool hippie little deal. And I walk in, they got guitars hanging. They've got like these old rock belts, like, rock style belts, like different flavors that are all like that make up the the front welcome area.
Yeah.
But it's like boutique style, right? It's like, I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But so it's real cool, boutique-ish. And I'm like, fuck yeah, this is cool.
Yep.
So I'm checking in, and the lady's like, so we got a little bit of an issue. I say, okay, well, no problem. What's the issue? She said, we don't have a room. I said, well, that's an issue. She said, but we share a building. Like, we share this whole building. The other half of it is a Holiday Inn Express. And I said, okay, well, I just need a fucking room. Like, I don't care. I'm not here to, like, impress anybody. But it was cool. I was excited. Now I'm kind of bummed out. She's like, we're going to get you a bigger room. We're going to validate your valet. We're going to get you a discount. Like, we're really sorry.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, no big deal. She said, well, you want me to take you to show you how to get there. The buildings are connected. I said, well, I mean, I'm sure I can find it. She said, it's kind of a maze because you got to go through our hotel to come through the backside versus coming on the other side of the block. And so she walked me through this building. It's all one building, and there's literally a corridor in between the two buildings, and all of a sudden I'm in this Holiday Inn Express, which is brand new. It's really nice and clean, but I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like Peasantville.
Yeah.
I'm literally like over, like, what?
What happened?
What happened, dude? The vibe, like, it's different.
It's different.
Totally different. I'm like, golly. And so every time that I had to leave there and then come back in, I came back in through the front door of the Indigo and then went through that corridor instead of going back to the front of the Holiday Inn because I want to be in like this cool vibe for a minute, and then I'm going to go back to my little, boring room.
And dude, you just nailed it. It is experiential. It creates memories. When you can say, like when you move out of your house, all it is wood and sheetrock and lights and some electric. But what makes you miss it when you leave? Memories grow into the walls, and it is you. One day you're going to grow out of this office, and you will shed a tear walking out of this office, not because the glass is any better, or the sheetrock's any sturdier, or the paint's cool. It's who you are. It becomes a part of you.
I love it. So I know we're pushing on time. I don't know. We've probably been at it an hour.
Yeah,
a little over an hour.
I got to go in like 5 or 10.
Okay, so let me get just. I'm going to skip over one and get to. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Ooh. Be nice and be honest.
Yeah, simple,
that's so simple, and it's cliche, and cliches are cliches because they're fucking true.
Because they're fucking true.
That's probably the one that's super easy. The best piece of advice I can give to anybody is it's going to be really hard, and it's going to be really rewarding. Mm-hmm. And you just have to decide if that's enough for you. But if anybody, I don't care if it's starting a business, if you want to be a good artist, if you want to be the best photographer, whatever it is, to be the best takes a shit load of work. Tiger Woods isn't Tiger Woods because he's on the range for 1 hour. Yep. He's Tiger Woods because when everybody's gone home, he's there for 2 more hours.
It's a champion mentality.
Yeah, LeBron James. I mean, let's just go through the list. Yeah. Unless you hit the lottery, which I don't prescribe anybody to go try and do that to get where they're going. Yeah. It's going to be really, really hard, and it's going to be the most rewarding thing you've ever done.
What's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm trying to bring the fucking fire here, dog.
Dang.
You know what I mean?
The worst.
Dude, I cannot have the best, like my podcaster, my admiration for you as the podcaster, and then show up and fuck it up. I can't do it.
The worst piece of advice I've ever got. Oh, this is going to piss some people off, but that school fucking matters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But where the society's going, if you have access to the internet and everything else, you do not need a 4-year degree. At Fort Capital, we don't care if you've been to college. Yep. We just care that you put skins on the wall and that you're a hustler. Yep. And so I hate to say it, but the worst advice that I've been, and I'm not saying don't get educated and that learning isn't good. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm just saying traditional schooling isn't going to get you. If you think that's going to get you where you're destined to be, you're telling yourself a lie unless you want to be like a professor at a school or something.
Yeah, or maybe a doctor. You have to have a medical school.
For sure. But the days of needing a $200,000 degree to get a job, they're fucking over. And go check out Lambda School. I wish I was invested. I'm not. Right now, you go to school, you take on a lot of debt unless you've been fortunate to not have to. And whether you get a job or not, that school made a lot of money off you, and the performance you have in life, they have no accountability for. Yeah. The schools of the future, which you're already seeing coming, are saying you come for free. Yep. And unless you get a job that pays you $50,000 or more, then you start paying us a percentage of your income. And oh, by the way, if you lose that job, you stop paying us until you get the next one. Yeah.
They have skin in the game.
They have skin in the game. So guess what? If they're going to have skin in the game, what are they also going to want their kids learning? What the fuck they want to learn? Yeah. Not calculus and geography and everything that I had no interest in.
What they need to learn.
What they need to learn. Yeah. How to use QuickBooks, how to read the newspaper, how to have a damn job interview, life skills. Yep. So the worst piece of advice, and this might piss some people off, but
Probably
I don't
not
care,
my listeners.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
Is that college really, really matters?
Yeah.
It just doesn't anymore.
So I have to agree with you, and it doesn't fucking matter. If
It
people don't
doesn't.
like it, if you want to go to college, go for it. You know, another thing about this college, and then we're going to wrap it up, and I'm let you get back to your fucking awesome busy life, is the one thing that people don't talk about when that I haven't heard that often is when people talk about like the $200,000 for 4-year degree. And I'm not, I hate to broadly just fucking say that this is like a lot of people's experience, but the fucking amount of time that gets wasted in 4 years of drinking beer and fucking partying and doing bullshit while you're paying for a $200,000 education, while you're racking up credit cards if you can't afford all that shit to just live and be there and to hang. It ends up being fucking more than $200,000, and you can't put a price on the time that you wasted for 4 fucking years trying to keep up with the Joneses and be cool and do all this other shit. That there's aspects of college of networking and like being a part of something that are you know, that I think like, you know, could be cool, like going to a football game and being able to wear that logo and say I'm fucking a part of something. But dude, I mean, you can do that anyway.
You nailed it. The only thing you can get, in my opinion, get out of school at this point that you can't get on your own through the internet is a network. That is important.
But there's all those other things out there you can go get.
Yeah, but to think that sending an 18-year-old with no parents now, and this is the time they need to like study and be ready and on alert, it's just so dumb. And Mark Cuban said it best. Christopher Columbus sailed the fucking 7 seas in 1492, whenever he did.
Yeah.
I can learn that for $100 or I can learn that for $50,000. So what's the difference? Well, now every school has 15 jerseys and helmets, and their stadiums are huge and jumbotrons. That money isn't going into educate. I mean,
it's a business.
At the rate of education. It's not like people are getting smarter, but the buildings are getting fancier.
Yeah.
So I look at it like this. I'm a university. You're a student. I'm going to get you to borrow $200,000 that you're responsible for, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to build a stadium with it.
Yeah.
So I don't need to take on debt as the university. My students will take on the debt for me.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take that money and do
that's
whatever.
That's a profit center over there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that in real estate. That doesn't work that way.
Most people can never get away with it.
If the schools had to take on the debt and be responsible for it themselves, guess what? Shit would be a lot cheaper.
It'd be like building an apartment complex where the tenants fucking take on the debt.
Correct.
And you build it and then like, okay, now I'm done. Thanks for taking on this debt. But by the way, you're going to keep paying me.
Good luck. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this has been fucking awesome. So Chris Powers, where can people find Fort Capital for if they're just curious about what you guys do?
www.fortcapitallp.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Fort Worth Chris, or you can see our list of private equity businesses we've invested in at fort-ventures.com.
Yeah. The Fort Podcast.
The Fort Podcast, which is on iTunes, and I need one more rating to get to 50 ratings, and then I get into some new deal. So
cool.
Go freaking do it.
Please go listen to the Fort Podcast because he has had some amazing people, entrepreneurs. He's way further along. Chris is way further along than I am in his podcast journey, and so I encourage you to go check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this has been awesome. Every time I get to spend with you, I leave jacked up.
Yeah.
I'm about to go rip it at the office now.
Go make some people pay.
And thank you for thinking of me.
Hey, you're welcome, and I love you so much as a friend, and I admire you. Just real briefly before we cut out is the first time I met Chris Powers, I walked into a room for a YPO event, Young Presidents Organization. It's a small group of business owners, and I'm not cocky or arrogant, but there's a point where I'm going, oh yeah, I run this fucking $150 million business, started from scratch, doing some pretty cool shit. I'm pretty young. And then I walk into this room and like this one guy starts talking. I'm like, okay, well, fuck. I'm not that cool, but I can make excuses because he's 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
And then we went around the room, and then Chris Powers is there, and I'm like, fuck, this fucking guy, he's just killing it, and he's got the time that I wish I could buy back, and I've just always been so impressed by you and admire you, and I thank you for being my friend.
Dude,
and being a part of my life.
I love it, and I know you're going to change the world. And don't think about those 10 years. Just think about the next 10 and what you're going to do there.
That's all I'm doing. Nothing I can do about it.
I know, baby.
Thanks, homie. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the RFN podcast. Go to thekevinlackey.com. Go to follow me on some bullshit. The Instagram. Yeah, the Kevin Lackey on Instagram. And that's it. See y'all later.